The 2001 film Jeepers Creepers features an iconic opening: siblings hunted on a desolate road. That sequence actually recreates a real, documented crime. On April 15, 1990, Ray and Marie Thornton were taking a quiet afternoon drive down Snow Prairie Road in rural Michigan. They were surrounded by miles of empty farmland, relying on the geographic isolation for a peaceful trip. A decrepit, dirty van suddenly appeared in their rearview mirror, tailgating aggressively. The driver nearly forced their car off the shoulder before speeding past them, leaving the couple rattled and alone on the dirt road. On these isolated country roads, a hostile driver creates an immediate sense of dread. Without witnesses or help, a minor traffic incident transforms into a moment of profound vulnerability. Miles further down the road, the Thorntons passed a rotting, abandoned schoolhouse. Parked behind the building was the same dirty van that had harassed them minutes earlier. Next to the van, a man in a white cap was struggling with a heavy object. He was attempting to shove a white sheet, completely drenched in fresh blood, down an animal hole in the ground. Checking their rearview mirror, they realized the man had seen them. The van was back on the road, rapidly accelerating and actively hunting them. This sequence illustrates a chilling reality. The moment innocent bystanders witness a killer burying a secret, they become the next targets. A high-speed pursuit followed. The killer rode the Thorntons' bumper through the winding dirt roads, repeatedly trying to force their car into the trees. The Thorntons managed to maintain control of the car long enough to write down a partial license plate that began with the letters GZ. Then, the couple made a choice often seen in horror scripts. Instead of driving towards safety or a police station, they turned their car around to investigate the schoolhouse themselves. When they returned, the driver was gone, but the van remained. The passenger door was wide open, and the interior was coated in fresh, thick blood. Under extreme psychological stress, human logic often fails. The Thorntons fell into the same patterns of behavior that audiences usually criticize in cinema, driven by a need to understand the horror they had just seen. Dennis DePue, a real-life resident of Michigan, was the man behind the cinematic creeper persona. Earlier that day, DePue had murdered his ex-wife, Marilyn DePue. He was in the process of hiding her body and cleaning the scene when the Thorntons drove past. The Thorntons accidentally intersected with DePue's timeline exactly when he was attempting to dump the bloody evidence of his crime. The fear in this story stems from the brutal reality of domestic violence. What looked like a random highway encounter was actually the aftermath of a targeted, earthly crime. The Thorntons' eyewitness account and that partial license plate became the primary evidence featured on the television program Unsolved Mysteries. The broadcast reached a massive national audience, showing the killer's face and his methods to millions of viewers across the country. DePue had already fled Michigan. He assumed a new identity and started a new life in Texas, hoping the geographic distance would protect him from his past. That distance vanished when his new girlfriend's family recognized him from the show. A massive police chase immediately followed, ending in a violent shootout where Dennis DePue finally took his own life. In the pre-internet age, a single television broadcast could close the gap between an isolated rural crime and a nationwide manhunt, proving the massive reach of network television. Today, Dennis DePue is buried in a marked family plot. The man who provided the blueprint for a movie monster rests under a headstone that records his name for history. Marilyn DePue was not afforded the same visibility. She was buried in an unmarked grave, eventually hidden by dirt and dead leaves as the cemetery landscape changed around her. Recently, investigators and visitors worked to unearth her location. After clearing away decades of neglect, they finally brought her name back to the surface. Hollywood immortalized the actions of the monster, yet the true horror lies in how easily the real-life victims are forgotten in the wake of the crime.